Hey, ladies, I just want to talk to you a little bit from the heart about one of the biggest regrets we can have in relationships. This recognition that there is a dissatisfaction with our partner, and from that place of dissatisfaction, there's this need to control, this need to change him, this need to fix him, if you will. So, where does this need come from? Why is it that we can fall for someone and think they're so wonderful and so great, and then after a while that starts to fade, and all we can see is the problems, the things that need fixing? Well, there's this side within ourselves that is filled with expectations. And these expectations cause us to really want to control what is happening in the moment. And so often when we try and control anyone outside of ourselves, we are met with disappointment. And this disappointment inevitably corrodes a relationship. So where does this come from, this need for control? Why do we need to control others? If you were to look at it, there's probably related to three things. It could be related to the ego, this idea we have of ourselves and who we should be. And when we see things not adding up to that idea of who we think we should be, we start to get frustrated and seek control and start to force our will upon the moment. So this can be exhausting. This is an exhausting way to relate to the world. So being aware that that may be your kind of where you're moving from is really helpful for starting to be gentle. Be gentler with yourself and others. What else could be causing this need for control is this feeling like there's a need for perfectionism. Unsatisfied with ourselves when things aren't adding up to the way we feel like they should be, goes along with our story. So when we need things to be perfect and they aren't, we are overcompensating energetically, where kind of inefficiently, right? And most of that comes from the inner voice telling us that we're not enough. And that inner voice telling us that we're not enough causes us to push, to control, to force our way through our lives, and to not be very forgiving. So if there's an internal voice telling us that we need to be perfect, of course we're going to be finding fault in everything around us. We also need to acknowledge our lack of trust. There's a lack of trust that everything is in right order. So we need to step in and take control, change things, make things different. So let's look at some of the ways that we can start to evolve our relationship with our need for control, our need to change someone outside of ourselves, and that need for perfectionism and our lack of trust. So if we were to take control where things feel out of control, the best and really only way we can do that is to take our attention not from inside out, but turn our attention inside. So not looking outside of ourselves, but actually looking towards ourselves, towards our life, towards our choices and ask ourselves what actually is in our control. And when we start to focus on what is in our control as opposed to what is out of control, then we start to feel in alignment with the universe, with ourselves, with this. We can be free of everything that we cannot control because we're focusing on what we can control. And then we start to feel like we belong and we're in this world purposefully. And from that place, we can be far more compassionate with others. So what can we control? We can control what we choose to eat. We can control our diet. We can also control our choices. This is such an interesting concept to me, and this has taken a long time to really hone in and attune to choice and how important it really is. Because so often we are being pushed by this idea of what we think, who we think we should be, who we think he should be, how we think we should appear. So according to those thoughts, we are making choices that are averse to our heart's inner knowing, our heart's truest desire. When we're making choices that are out of alignment with our soul, then we find ourselves feeling a lot of anxiety and frustration in our lives. So if you start to notice this frustration, constant frustration, ask yourself what choices you are making that don't feel good to you. Because that is dissonance. And if you can start to recognize that and say, I take my power back and choose differently. I'm going to choose that which resonates with me, that which feels good to me, that which gives me energy and joy and an excitement for life, as opposed to what I have been choosing. So instead of swimming upstream, start to swim downstream. And that is a choice that you can make. And you have to trust that decision is going to lead you where you need to be. So let feeling good be your guide in life, because you can trust that. You were designed to feel good, not bad. So that is another way you can take control of your life. You can take control of your life by choosing to stimulate learning. Well, so personal development and growth by taking programs, by reading books, by taking courses, classes, any of those things that light you up. Like I was saying before, what makes you feel good? What lights you up? Start to pursue that. And you can do that through kind of mental stimulation, through the books you read, etc. So that's another choice that you can make, that you can control outside, that's kind of in your realm and allows everyone else to be who they are. And you can also control your emotional health by the choices you make as well. So are you taking time for journaling? Are you taking time for mindfulness, meditation, exercise? All of these things allow your emotions to stabilize. Also, your diet. Your diet is a huge emotional stabilizer. So keep in mind these powerful choices that you can make to take control back without having to focus on someone else ineffectively and corroding your relationship. Also be aware that your affirmations are powerful. So if you are focused on frustration, dissatisfaction, him not adding up, then that is just going to grow in power, grow in strength. But if you choose instead to focus on the positive of all that you can control, what does that look like? What does that sound like? This sounds like I am the creator of my life by every choice that I make. I am powerful. I am in control of my choices. So these are all affirmations that support the truth of what you can control. And that starts to feel really good. And recognize that one of the most important things in relationship, coming from the feminine energy, coming from the woman in the relationship, is that we can't force anyone to do what we want. And the true power comes through influence. So how do we influence someone to change as opposed to telling someone to change? Because that's not going to help and it's never going anywhere. So to influence is to be inspired, to be someone that someone wants to be like. So if he sees you choosing well, feeling good, being positive, he's going to want to do that for himself. And if he doesn't, and he's just sinking down into his mess or his negative choices, you have to let him find his own way out. You have to let him feel the effects of his choices on his own. This is how we learn as humans, not necessarily by someone telling us, but by exploring for ourselves what feels good and what doesn't. So continue to make good choices for yourself, stay positive, and focus on yourself, and relationships will start to build positively for you. So I hope that inspires you and helps you to realize where your true power comes from. It doesn't come from micromanaging and over-functioning and trying to control someone else. It comes through your influence, your energy, and your focus upon yourself. So remember, if you have any friends who would benefit from being in this community of women where we support each other and we can ask questions and get feedback, be sure to invite them into this group, because this group is for women, and I hope you recognize how good it feels to be part of something greater than you on your own as an individual, isolated. It's so powerful. Women are born to work together. This is how we thrive. So invite your sisters and have a blessed day. All my love.